there we go. We got your camera thing.
Right.
So we want that. We have the Crawford Park stairs, which is 91,000. We put a lot of work and time into that. So I think whether we're running Crawford Park or someone else's is probably...
That's a good investment in the actual facility.
Exactly. So I guess my point is, and then the Rye-Town Park Capital, we this is absolutely de minimis. You know, it's been dramatically health and safety.
Yeah, that's all it is.
So I hear what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. I'd like to urge we get the full $2 million, but nothing beyond the absolute minimum until we have maybe. Councilman Yoris, we go back and take another look at what we have.
I'm of a differing opinion.
Sure.
I believe that these certain repairs are necessary for safety and hazard purposes. There's nothing in here that says they're repairing the roof of the bathhouse. Certainly some expenditures should be made there before we continue to destroy and ruin the bathhouse further, inquiring further costs down the line. So I think we need to take a critical look at, what absolutely must be done and what needs to be done, this year. And I would have liked to have seen some of the items that actually need to get done at Rye-Town Park completed and at Crawford Park as well, although I'm not so sure there's much of a dire need at Crawford Park. But I would have liked to have seen the roof repaired at least so we don't cause any further damage. And, I was wondering if we go out for a little bit more money in order to cover some of those items as that.
Yeah, I think we need Rye-Town Park.
Regardless of who takes this over, it's probably going to be paid for by some portion of the community.
You have the Rye-Town Park capital
is that
plan.
We can't take on debt.
You want to copy of that? Give it. Thanks very much.
I understand that.
Mayor French is refusing.
I understand it, but there's certain expenses that you say you pay now, or you're going to pay a lot more later, like roof repairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say I took an extensive tour of Rye-Town Park just 2 weeks ago, and I was really rendered speechless at the condition of some of those buildings, and I think the roof is absolutely something that we should look at as a priority because, the place is in absolute disrepair on the interior of those buildings.
I presume you took that tour as part of the Rye-Town Park Capital Commitments Committee.
I did.
And we're looking for your solutions.
We did it in the rain.
I think now you have identified the need. We're looking to you for solutions, Councilwoman Collins.
Yeah, I think you guys, it's a fantastic committee that's been put in place.
I got an idea.
Really,
we're in a low interest rate environment. Let's go and bomb for it.
The interior of the buildings.
I think
there's a real need.
I think that's I think both the suggestions for both sides of the bench this evening are terrific. I think ultimately, I've asked Mr. Nowotnick just to get the Rye-Town Park capital plan, the latest one where the staff is tried to prioritize. Now, where we sit right now is Rye City, I guess, is under financial duress. And they're loath to make any capital expenditures over and above what's been agreed at the $31,800. And these, as Mr. Nowotnick has said, are health and safety capital expenditures. Now, I'm perfectly happy, for us, as you suggest, Councilman Yoris, to take a look at a more ambitious program. In fact, we went so far as there's Susan Aslander, who was our fundraiser, who, remember, secured the monies for our Rye-Town Park, is prepared to work on a success fee basis to secure $3.2 million in funding. But since that requires additional funding from from Rye City and ourselves, Rye City is not even confident they want to do that. So we have a major need, as we all know, at Rye-Town Park. And that's why we created that committee, and ultimately, but I think that you're absolutely right. We should take advantage of this environment to look for a further and more robust.
Explore it.
Would the two of you come up with a recommendation for next meeting? Would you take a look at that?
I'm happy to work with Bob and let him take
Would you guys like to do that? That'd be great. Councilman Yoris and Councilwoman Collins, why don't you take a look at the additional needs and come up with a recommendation for next meeting?
Can I ask the council a crazy question? Mr. Noto, can we take on debt to pay for a project at Rye-Town Park and not have it be part of Rye-Town Park capital program?
You could. I don't know
I know
why
it's-
why you would, but
Listen, I'm just...
the actually though
'cause I know
the,
that if Councilman Christina and Collins and Bob Nioris go to the city of Rye and say, our plan is to, take out funds right now for this capital project, and guess what? You're going to pay X amount of dollars for it. The answer is going to be no.
Well, actually, no. The city of Rye doesn't have that option. I'm not sure. The way the law reads is the Rye-Town Park Commission, of which they have 2 votes, makes these decisions. By the way, not the Rye-Town Board, the Rye-Town Park Commission.
Right.
Once they've made that decision, and the town of Rye does the funding, we present the city of Rye with a bill for their share, and they don't have the option to say no. The law requires them to make the payment.
Park Commission
agrees. Yeah.
No. If the Rye-Town Park Commission does not agree to enter into a capital program for a roof on the bathhouse, right?
All right.
They choose not to.
Well, then that's a good question. I don't know by what authority, because technically you can't do anything at that park without the permission of the commission. Like, they run the park. So I don't know. I mean, I suspect the commission might say, fine, if you want to pay for it, we'll let you do whatever you want, because they would be the beneficiaries of your largesse.
Correct.
But from a public policy standpoint, I don't think it would be
You'd be not
advisable.
present, right.
Well, because there's a law in place that obligates the city of Rye to pay their share of the improvements.
Right.
So, I mean, they don't have the option to say no, actually.
I started by saying it's a crazy question.
Well, actually, it's interesting. So they are constrained.
Totally. I mean, they have no choice. I mean, that's the way the law reads. So, and the capital improvements are not covered in the cap, so they don't have to worry about the cap. And well, look, these are things for the benefit of the park. It wouldn't serve the city of Rye to have the park fall apart or for the buildings to collapse.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't.
No, I think what they're saying, which I think is, well, what they're saying is it could be probably fair, is that they're saying, yes, this is an urgent need, but they have flooding issues. They have a whole set of capital expenditure issues that they are of the view take priority over this. And while this is a nice to have, or they're saying that we have some must-haves. Now, I haven't looked at the capital budget of the Rye City, but ultimately, I think that's sort of the logic that they're.
But they get 2 votes on the commission. That's their say.
You have Portchester and Rye Brook to tell them. So. Okay. I was actually, Mr. Nowotny, okay, this is helpful, but the 31,800, the other thing is, just let me say, we're going to have, we did not get a quorum today at the Rye-Town Park meeting, so if anybody has an interest from this board, Monday at 7:30, we're going to try and have a Rye-Town Park meeting that will hopefully be quorate. And so maybe if you guys wanted to come, we could entertain a discussion with them on precisely what we're talking about and see if we can, if we can make any progress.
I would like to probably do a little homework first so that we can prepare to have the discussion and actually have some facts in front of us. We can see what we could come up with between...
On Monday, yep. I was hoping maybe you have enough time. But,
Well, do you have a copy of Bob's capital plan, Christina?
Yes, you do.
All right, good.
Well, my other thought was that I know we put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's just a thought to consider is that maybe we want to flip these 2 numbers here, the 31 and the 91, because stairs versus the roof.
Stairs are coming in
Stairs are
around
not a
75
necessity
to 90, right?
per se.
75 plus.
Well,
the constraints actually, it's kind of
Still
funny.
goes
I
back.
like the joke of our impoverished brethren in Rye City. The constraint isn't us, it's them. So they're the ones that limit it.
So either way.
Right.
Okay.
The 31,800 is the town of Rye's portion
of
the Rye-Town Park improvements, which were approved on April 17th. They just approved it last meeting for 53,000. And
Can you refresh my memory what that number will go towards, that 60-some-odd thousand?
very little.
That'll go toward refurbishing the 3 sets of showers, 2 in the tunnel, 1 at the North Beach. That will also put in an ADA compliant.
Because you got to come up, sir.
Yeah. There are three projects that are in that $53,000. The refurbishment of the public showers in each of the tunnels, the men's and the ladies' tunnel. And in addition, there's the North Beach showers. All of those have been presenting problems with frequent failures during the season, excessive plumbing expenses to repair, and frankly, we owe the people showers when they go to the beach. The roughly $20,000 is allocated toward an ADA-compliant ramp. If you've been to the middle gate at the beach, you will see that the ramp is probably at about a 45% slope, which is not ADA compliant. It is a safety issue, and we're trying to see if we can't get that fixed. And the third piece is, hang on a second. Oh, the third piece is the car counting. They're not actually automatic arms. What they are is they're embedded loops, and they are car counting loops that will be integrated with the cashier system to provide for better cash control and better accounting and so forth. So those are the three projects that were approved by the Rye Town Park Commission.
Okay.
Okay, good. And Mr. Burns, I had a question here on the debt service schedule.
Yes.
So, can you explain to me again the ban conversion to serial bonds? There's no payments for 2012, 13, and 14, and then there are payments in 2015? Or?
Right. A ban is a bond anticipation note that runs for 1 year, matures in 1 year, and
so it's not part of debt service per se, right?
The interest payment, right? There's no principal payment due on a ban, so
Okay. But there would be interest payments.
There would be an interest payment at a lot lower rate.
Okay, where would the interest payments be on this schedule?
In year 2013, $20,000, which would be about a 1% payment.
Okay.
And then in 2014, it would be about 1.5%.
Okay.
These are projections, and behind the debt service, there's the bonding, there's amortization schedules on the bonding
Sure.
that
Yeah, okay.
projections.
And is it beneficial then to convert that to serial bond versus keeping it as a ban?
You can ban up to 5 years, but there will be a principal payment, as you go along with the bans.
Eventually,
Yeah,
okay.
you'll have to convert it over at some point.
Okay.
Wait, so sorry, thanks for bringing that up, Councilman Iris. So the blanks that we have, the 1.85 million, those are bans that we're taking out and...
We're taking the total we would take a ban for the total amount for $2 million for 2 years, and then we would look to convert it in year 3. Again, we're not making that decision tonight, but we're just throwing out some options to see what the impact would be on the debt service, depending which way we go. We're only approving tonight the ability to borrow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and there's a 60-day period. Once we approve tonight, there would be a 60-day window for us to get borrow funds, whether it be a ban or whether it would be...
How are we going to make the decision? Are we working with bond counsel?
We're working with bond counsel, and we're looking at what the impact is in the budget. So your question about what our capacity is we'll be looking at that as well. And just the question of what the impact's going to be on the future budget.
And who makes the decision which is the best way forward?
That would be yourself, and
We don't have to come back to the board.
No.
It's
lucky you have somebody with tremendous financial acumen.
You do say so yourself.
Well, really, it's going to come down to the finance team
And that would be who?
bond counsel.
And bond counsel and the supervisor determine which is...
what's going to roll out the best.
Yeah.
All right.
Finance team. Oh, well, yeah.
One of them's here, too. Two of them here tonight.
Okay.
Good.
Can we take all four of these at once?
You can take D, E, F, and G,
Okay.
and just vote to approve all four of them. And then there's some instructions in here for Hope about there's a 30-day rescission time and petitions and whatnot. So, but yeah, to adopt these in the process of moving forward.
Okay. Can I get a motion? Oh, sorry.
Motion to approve D, E, F, and G?
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then that'd be great if Councilman York, I'd like that suggestion, and Councilwoman Collins, you guys want to come up with some recommendations over and above what we have, that would be great.
how do we convince Rye to open their pockets?
Well, I think there's two things. One is Rydell Park, but we also have our own
Right.
needs we could think about.
Right, the town of Rye, which is Pearl Street, and also
Yeah.
Crawford Park, we could look at that as well.
Well,
In fact,
in some regard, I'll have to rely on Councilman Villanova's call that once we decide what we're doing with the town of Rye, then we can decide what we're doing with this building.
Right.
But for buildings that will persist, like Crawford Park, we can take a look at it.
Right.
Yeah, well, there, if you're spending the money, we're controlling that. That's great. And Paul, can you just look at just look into, don't waste a lot of time in it, but what would happen if the town just took on the debt to take care of a project at Rydell Park? You know what? Sometimes we need to be the responsible kid in the sandbox and do the right thing for the
That's what I'm
community.
trying to do.
I got you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Great. Now, Mr. Nowotny, we have a bunch of assets in the town. Are we going to review those tonight?
If you wish.
Yeah, could you just give that out? We'll come back to it later on. All right. Well, first I want to apologize for being late tonight. I was in between meetings when the other meeting got canceled, and then I ended up getting in traffic, so I apologize for coming in late. I understand the American Legion postband was terrific. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic. I'll have to watch it on TV along with everybody else. The Independence Day donation. So we went ahead and.
Yep.
All right. Now, one thing, Mr. Arcaro, would you coordinate with the Independence Day committee? And they do essays every year. Would you see if we could somehow coordinate with them on the essay? I mean, my ideal thing would be have the kids, a lot of elementary school kids, and they get up, what's the All-American community? But if could you coordinate with them?
I think you're a little late.
Did
But
they already do it? The essay's already been done?
the Independence Day Committee was on the Bill of Rights this year, I think.
Okay.
Maybe it's something else that can come out, though. You may not be able to...
Maybe too late.
Yeah.
Just be great. And if not, would you try and work with them for next year? Because by that time, we'll have the All-American community put in place, so we'll... Great, thank you so much. Okay. Mr. Markowitz. Mr. Markowitz. See that roll off your tongue, huh? Mr. Markowitz, we've got 4 properties.
Correct.
And we've agreed on all these 4 properties, right?
Correct.
All right, before we go into it, I'm going to spare the town viewers and the town attorney the normal, but I do want to find out, where do we stand on our law?
It's, according to Assemblyman Latimer, it would be voted by Ways and Means tomorrow, Ways and Means Committee in the State Assembly, and then assuming they pass it out, it will go to the full Assembly next week or the week after.
For a vote?
For a vote in the State Assembly.
Right.
Then it has to go to the State Senate.
And if the State Assembly, so we'll know in a week or two?
We'll know in a week or two if the Assembly passes it.
Right.
Then it kicks over to the Senate. And then if they pass it, then it goes to the governor. But the Senate could be a hurdle. That was part of the problem last year, the Senate.
Well, no, yeah, but we always end up running out of time.
Welcome to New York State government. Yeah. They run out of time in June every year. And these bills are part of a rush of bills that get adopted or not adopted or voted on at the end of the session.
So can we anticipate to our friends in the State Senate that this bill is coming down the pike and we'd like to get it voted on this?
Well, I think we could reach out to Steve Otis and give him a heads up. He is aware of it because I've talked to him in the past.
Who's obviously State Senator Oppenheimer.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and he's been sort of helpful. But I think we should reach out to
He's
him.
been very helpful. Well,
Yeah.
would you do that?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm not going to bother with the normal spiel, but ultimately we're settling here. And then the other thing is, so that's one thing. We need to pass the law. And remember, the law ultimately gives us the right to immediately review valuations that are out of line. The second thing is, Mr. Noto, is whether or not Mr. Markowitz has the right to defend valuations. Is that illegal? I can't remember where.
Well, I'm going to reach out to Mark. No, it's not illegal. I think the issue is that the court is looking for objective, non-party testimony. Mitchell, as the assessor, is obviously, in fact, the action is against the assessor. So it's best he not testify. The problem is it is virtually unheard of that an assessor would testify in a litigated matter. You did get a memo from Aldo, which is quite lengthy, which contains some cases.
But I just want to bring this to the public's attention.
So
but again, I promise not to go off tonight, but ultimately, we can't. What you're saying is they're forcing us to hire appraisers and lawyers, so they're forcing us to settle. And it's just not right.
Right. Well, but the plaintiffs also have to hire an appraiser and a lawyer.
They don't have to.
Yeah, they do.
They don't have to. They can say.
How else would they make their case?
Well, because Joe Corman goes in and says, "Look, these are the 4 comparables. This is my income statement. This is the appropriate capitalization."
Yeah, that should happen at the BAR. As we've tried to say, tell us why you think we're wrong.
The bottom line, the whole system is schemed to generate work for lawyers and appraisers, and it's just unconscionable. It's absolutely unconscionable. I don't understand why our assessor. We work hard to make this assessment department the top one in New York State. We're working very hard to do that. We're working hard to justify our evaluations. We're working hard. We've revaled, and he can't defend. He can't defend a valuation that's obviously correct. So then we're presented with the situation where we've got to then either spend more money than we would settle for, right, on lawyers and appraisers, or an agree evaluation we know is incorrect.
But we in Rye-Town have been unique in that all of these cases we settled without an appraisal, and we got very close to our numbers.
Well,
so we've been holding the line.
And quite frankly, in all honesty, we'll settle these tonight, or we'll recommend we settle them, but quite frankly, it kills me to settle them. It kills me. It absolutely kills me to settle these.
Does it kill you?
And it's just tax. Just what's that? What's that, Mr. Huber? What's that? Those are taxpayer dollars flying out the window. That's your money flying out the window. Flying out the window. Everybody's watching this out and just watch that money disappear. That's your money out of your pockets. Why is Westchester County the highest property tax county in the nation? Why? Why? Because of this system. System's exactly like this. Because you have I got to tell you, at the end of the day, you have 11% unemployment rate. And let me tell you something. That unemployment rate's going to 15 and 20 because they have a horrific government. And it's just absolutely unconscionable to allow that kind of system to persist. It's unconscionable. Just throwing money away. And I'm sorry. It certainly aggravates me to destroy my children's future, to settle them with $250,000 in debt. Look, I'm sorry, and I'll get off the soapbox, but I've lived on 5 continents, speak 5 languages, 30 years business financial experience. Okay, we are working in an intensely competitive global environment. And we think our kids are going to be able to compete with this system? You're crazy. You're crazy. People are dead. 1 out of 2 college grads can't find a job. We all know somebody's just lost their job and can't find a new one. And we sit here and sit by and watch the people just steal money from our taxpayers? I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I don't understand why we can't change the system. And I can guarantee you one thing. If we can't, then say goodbye to your children's future and your grandchildren's future. All right, so now let's approve these valuations before I change my mind. But, does anybody have any questions on these valuations?
Well, I think we should get a little background on them, at least. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the 4 resolutions in front of the town board involve 4 different property owners. The first property is located at 28 Ridge Boulevard. It is a 1-year settlement for a single-family house. The second resolution...
why don't we just take them one at a time?
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion we approve Resolution H.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Resolution I is a resolution to resolve 4 individual properties, all owned by a common owner, Messina and Brianti. It involves the Goodyear Tire facility on Boston Post Road in Portchester, the tennis club on Boston Post Road in Portchester, the former Wendy's fast food restaurant, and a vacant parcel of commercial land.
And Mitch, on these parcels here, I'm seeing that actually a pretty good trend that a lot of the years there are no reductions.
I would categorize most of the settlements really predate revaluation. When you look at the percentages and the dollars involved, that's really what they come to.
Right. Okay.
I mean, we have years 2003 to 2010 with no changes for the tire, years 2001 to 2006 with no change for the tennis club. We have years 2005 to 2011, no changes for the former Wendy's. And for the vacant commercial parcel, there's no reduction from 2001 through
I beg to differ with
2011.
that comment, but doing a quick addition, it looks to me like there's almost $913,700 reduction on all properties over that period of time from 2001 to 2011.
But
It seems to be the substantive part of the reduction
I would
after
make-
reval.
I would make this counterpoint that when you look at it as a percentage and when you take the 2001 through
percentage basis.
2003 years, which are fractional assessments, they're much
Right,
higher.
Understood.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I thought the same thing too, Bob, but when you're looking at these properties and you're at a million,
Right.
another a million,
The reductions
10
amount are not
10 million.
comparable.
yeah. So and given what
Okay.
we've experienced over the past couple of years,
Right.
this is a better picture than what we've experienced.
But then the other question I have, it seems like after reval, we were off, I guess, by, what was that, 2%? On the tennis club for a few years?
Tennis club, let's say it's probably, I don't know, 1%.
That's not a big,
It's not a big number.
Yeah.
It's 1.5%, 2%. It's a very small number.
okay, so,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't think that's,
It's no, it's not.
no, okay. All right, motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Should I?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution J is to approve a settlement with a property that is a 6-family house at 344 Irving Avenue in Portchester. Involves reductions from years 2004 through 2010 with no change for 2011.
You're saying it's a 6-family house?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big house.
I will describe it as this one does not really tickle me. And
Okay.
Is it for sale?
is it for sale? No.
Bob has his checkbook out.
I mean, here's one of the challenges we run into with properties like this, okay? To talk about, just for a second, about, the court system. On a property like this, while the sales may show one level of valuations, and I can tell you honestly that for this one they support the assessment, but in the eyes of the court, and we had this argument in front of the judge, in the eyes of the court, the value is determined by an income approach. The income approach, when you use the actual rents and inflated expenses and an absurd cap rate, doesn't support the value. And it's one of those challenges created by the system, and I'm unable to change that.
I disagree. And I don't know, I mean, are we the only people that complain about this stuff?
I would categorize I would say to you, no. However, we don't experience the level of reductions that many other communities experience, and sort of the best evidence of that.
Yeah, but actually, you know what? Would you do me a favor? I want to talk to the Westchester Association of Assessors. Would you organize that for me, please?
Yes.
And I guarantee you, we can change the system, but you have to first of all want to, and then second of all, you have to generate a movement, and you need to make people aware of how egregious the system is. What cap rate did you say you're using?
We were using a cap rate probably of about 10%.
And I will say honestly let me ask the people at home. Sorry, you got to give me a close up here, Tom. Was anybody hit home? All of our seniors. Anybody ready to take a 10% cap rate? Now, Mr. Markowitz, what would if we used a 8% cap rate? What would be the difference in value here? It'd go from 600 to 800.
It would go.
And if it went to 6%, you'd go to 1.2 million. So every one of these valuations is egregious. Egregious. If the cap rate were any kind of reasonable, and who determines the cap rate?
Essentially, the court system through their decision.
This is an election year for judges, isn't it?
Every year is an election year for some judges.
Okay, so and can they opine on this? Where's the public policy? I don't understand it. Can't they opine on what's a proper certiorari system and how cap rates get established?
They can.
They can. Okay. Okay. So
they rate decisions.
So okay.
But another starting point is that town supervisors association. Get that group together. Get them behind it.
Unfortunately, Mr. No, that would be helpful. Except none of them have done a reval.
But they all pay. They all go through this.
They all go through the same kind of fight.
As unhappy as you are about the process.
Right. Okay. Good.
They don't want to accelerate it.
Yep.
Because they end up paying.
Right.
But they're getting much worse than we are.
They're all frustrated by the system and the results. I can promise you that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why they're starting.
Sorry, excuse me.
All right.
So we were on what, Jay?
All right, Mitch. Do you recall what the monthly rent was on this property? 6,000.
It was
8,000.
6 units. I would venture to say it was probably 8,000. I have to look at the file to be sure.
The cap rate's 10.
Is it Section 8?
So 60,000 a year is a net income.
No, it's
1,000.
It's
net.
It's net.
It's free market.
Is that cap rate you're talking about pre-tax or post-tax?
That cap rate includes a loaded real estate tax rate. Okay, to be perfectly clear. Which means a base rate of, 8% or less.
Okay, we're inching along.
Okay, can we move on?
Is there a motion?
I don't know.
Oh.
Do you want? What do you do? Did you want to challenge this one, or what do you want to do?
Looking at this property, if this was someone's home, and this was the numbers that we live, a single-family home, I wouldn't be so concerned. This is a 6-unit apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in $8,000 a month, approximately, in rent.
Yes, and the expenses are what they are, and the cap rates are what they are.
Well, let me.
I can tell you, I'm not so happy as you
let me tell you, Barbara.
I'm just saying, I should be a landlord.
Exactly. So the challenge here is and this is where the gaming in the system occurs. So if we're going to fight this, we go to court, and we'll incur another $5,000-$10,000 in legal fees.
Oh yes.
Then we've got to hire an appraiser, because both Mr. Noto and Mr. Markowitz absolutely insist that Mr. Markowitz is incapable, even on this level. No,
not incapable.
Not incapable.
Incapable of what's the word?
No, not allowed.
Okay, not allowed.
The court would not accept his testimony.
Well, he's incapable as per the court.
Yeah, but not.
Well, as per the court, he's incompetent.
Not incapable.
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
What are they saying?
He'd be biased, a biased
But of course he's going to defend the valuation. What do you think the guy we hire is going to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's the irony of it, is that, of course, everyone's going to hire an appraiser to defend their position, whether it's the plaintiff or the...
Let the court hire an appraiser. If
No.
then they say...
Well, that's an interesting concept, to have let the court have a stable of appraisers, and they can do it and have one appraiser instead of
Right.
two, but that's
So
not
anyway,
the
just so you
adversarial.
know, I'm perfectly prepared to defer to the board on this. If we
I will.
fight it, we're going to end up spending more money than we save.
For sure.
And that's where the system is game. Now you're understanding why we've just, and anybody, quite frankly, if you're a commercial enterprise, you'd be insane not to file certiorari. And so ultimately, it's just bad actors. But I'll leave it to the board to make a decision what you guys want to do.
Do we have comps, like what was used to...
Don't ask that question, because if you get comps, you'll get $800,000. The recent sales are $800,000, right?
I've already done the spreadsheet, so I completely agree.
I'm sorry, people at home want to know. The comps are $800,000.
When you compare
$800,000.
this property to the comparable sales, it's fairly assessed, okay? Having
No,
settled...
sorry, don't give me that bureaucratic speak. What are the comps?
I don't know.
Well, I can tell you. You gave them to me. They're between $700,000 and $800,000. And now the court won't let you use comps, right, Mr. Noto?
Yeah,
the court, I just want to paint a picture here. Maybe the rest of the board can get as crazed as I am. So we got $700,000, $800,000 comps. $700,000 comps. The 10% cap rate. And they're fighting us. And so ultimately, we're not allowed to use the comps. Because the comps obviously would be in favor of the town. But sorry, Councilman Collins, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, you answered my question. It seemed unusual that this...
So, Mr. Markowitz, can you explain to me why the town reduced their assessed value from 2010 to 2011?
Because we recalculated a whole variety of assessments, and there were assessments that declined from 2010 to 2011.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so based upon the new vision work with commercial properties, is this one that they inspected?
I believe the answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay, I would just make this point that...
So you're saying based on an impartial view and analysis by vision, they based that value at the 2011 number?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I would assume they would apply the same methodology to all such properties?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'd love to fight it, but I think that...
Unfortunately, you're absolutely right, Councilman Neers. It costs us more to fight it than accept it. So therefore, the conclusion is, well, in my view, I need a recommendation from Mr. Markowitz and Mr. Noto how to avoid this egregious situation. I need a strategy, a legal strategy, and a PR strategy, so we don't have the people sit through my harangue every month. I want for next meeting, I want a recommendation and presentation from the both of you, wouldn't mind, about a PR legal strategy, anticipating solutions to this problem. And I think it's very clear, a policy recommendation to ORPS that the cap rates that people are using are out of line. We need to figure out a way to do the cap rates. You need to figure out a way to do, maybe propose a joint appraisal. But, we're here obviously agreeing to a valuation that's unfair. Mm-hmm. It's unfair to every commercial property owner in the town of Rye.
Yes.
And we're agreeing to it because the court won't let us use the comparable sales. The court insists on using a cap rate that's 10% that anybody in the whole world understands is crazy. And then we, in order to defend it, they won't let you defend it. I mean, come on, they won't let you defend it. In complicated cases, of course we're going to hire somebody, but this is a straightforward case. So they won't let you defend it either. So ultimately, strike one, strike two, and strike three. And so I'd like the recommendation for new legislation, because it'll take us 4 years to get that passed, or some form of solution that we I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to see New York State stay 50th in every category except for outmigration, which is number one. So the reason we're here is to try and fight these corrosive systems. So now on that basis, can I get a motion to approve
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that with the proviso that in the long run, we'll be saving the town money.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No? Okay, 4-1. And Mr. Noto, this is urgent, and I really want a comprehensive, Mr. Markowitz, I want a comprehensive analysis of this, and I want a comprehensive recommendation to this board for the next month. About how to change the system. I want a comprehensive.
Okay.
Any other, do we have more?
We have one more resolution.
Does anybody want to ask any more questions? It's torturous.
My question is, why did we not do these at the beginning when Billy, it was just the three of us here?
I was moving along, Joe.
It's a good one.
I don't want to go into it. Does anybody have any questions on this evaluation?
No.
Like, can I get a motion to approve?
Wait, are we on K now?
Well, I have a question, though.
Okay.
So in 2011-2012 assessment year, we've actually increased the assessment on this by about $300,000, and then we reduced it by essentially the same amount we increased it by?
The net effect is yes. The only redeeming quality to this discussion is that the 2011 and 2012 assessments have not yet been used for taxation,
Same line.
so we've taken out of the equation sort of the refund issue.
All right, so there's no refund on this at all?
That's correct, except for year 2003.
Okay.
Okay? And essentially, the 2003 number is equal to the 2004 number when you...
But is this one of the properties that, this is a commercial property, right?
This is, yes, this is Wachovia Bank.
And is this one of the properties that Vision inspected,
Yes.
and they came up with that analysis?
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't we abide by that analysis in 2011, 2012? I mean,
That's what the court said.
Well, this not sure how to answer that. There was significant value put on the lower level.
Do you feel that the reduced value is just? I mean, it's what we had in 2010, what we estimated. So.
Yes, and it's similar to, if you accept the fact that property values are not increasing, then it's consistent with all the other prior years.
I don't have any more questions.
Get a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Second?
All in
Okay.
favor?
All right.
That was painful.
All right. It was painful. Mr. Markowitz, do you have anything to comment on? Other than
Not at this time.
All right. So next monthly meeting, I really want a robust recommendation.
Okay, let me be perfectly clear. Next month, I will be standing in this room at the Board of Assessment review meeting.
We're going to be on
Well,
next month.
All right, so then regardless of where you are, prior to that meeting, provide us with the
Actually,
memo.
hold on. Sorry. You can't have one of your substitutes and come to our meeting and make a presentation at the beginning. Don't you have anybody in your office that can sit there instead of you?
You can always, I would prefer not to take that approach.
Well,
I think it is very important for the assessor to be available
I'm
to
not
the
going
public.
I'm not going to have for the public every month like this. And I want a presentation from you to the public next month. And we'll work around the Board of Assessment review. We'll get you into the meeting early or late. What time does the Board of Assessment review go until? How late?
Till when it finishes. It is scheduled till 8 p.m. It typically
All right, schedule
runs
8 p.m. So you'll be at, what time is it now? 9:30. You'll have plenty of time to race over to our meeting, and the people in Rhinebeck will be anxiously waiting for your...
Okay.
For your,
Before you go, Mr. Markowitz, how many more of these certiorari claims do we have on the books? I mean, do we have a listing of them?
We do have listings.
Okay,
It measures into 3 digits a year.
really?
Mm-hmm.
There's about 250, Bob. And of the 250, 90% come in at 25% or low value. Again, it's very clear that the Board of Assessment review process is a nonsense because how can you I mean, in other words, the whole point, Mr. Noto, is...
I'd like to make that a little more visible, so I kind of like to see a periodic report on what we have and what's outstanding, because it's like every month here we get a report that we resolve this one way or the other, but I see no way of knowing how much progress we're making against this list of 250.